Adam, what's up? How are you?
Chad, I'm doing well, sir. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. I want to
Good.
thank you very much for jumping on with me. We've been working together for 7 months, right?
Yep.
Almost 8 months if we include the interview process and all that kind of fun stuff. And you've had some really, really incredible results. Do you mind diving in a little bit to some of the results and some of the things you've been able to accomplish within 7 months of coming into not only the company, but the industry?
Yeah, man. So, having almost 20 years of a sales background, it's always, if you switch an industry, there's a lot of focus on this new product, and in this world being roofing, and there's some intimidation there. But the relationship started with this new position, and you guys were there. And one of the first things I heard that really stuck with me was that nobody cares about the roof. I heard that, and it really kind of struck me. And it hasn't ever left me because you talk to people, and when you're talking to a customer, they have 1,000 things they're concerned about. The roof is not a problem to them until it's leaking, right? Until there's water coming through, they have some type of issue. And so keeping that mindset's been super helpful. One of the biggest things that was instilled with me early on too was recognizing, growing, and scaling my customers, whether I was going after a new business or I was trying to grow the existing customers that I had. And fortunately, I came into a situation of a business that's been in business for over 60 years. They had a great client base, but what I quickly discovered is that they weren't getting the care that they needed. And when I say care, touches. They needed somebody to reach out, ask them how they were doing, see if they had any needs. They needed somebody to come pop on their roof and just check on it periodically. And really, the success that you're alluding to came just simply from that, from talking to people, from forming relationships, from showing genuine concern, and for being vulnerable on my part. I constantly say, I might not have the answer that you're looking for, but I have a great team behind me. I can get the answer that you need. And so just letting people know that I don't assume to be an expert in this field because it's a new industry for me has gained a lot of trust. And we talk about that a lot. That's one of the things that I've always been a firm believer in. And working with yourself and David has really reiterated is that being a trusted advisor to a customer is everything.
I love it. I love it. So, one of the biggest things that I can say of working with you and your success is that you came from an industry outside of roofing. You had no idea, in a very respectful way, right? With no idea about all the ins and outs and years of working on roofs or around them. Talk to us about the first 30 or 60 days. What were you able to accomplish with limited resources, right, or limited background inside roofing, what you're able to accomplish within that short amount of time?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. So right when I jumped in, I'm like, okay, I got to learn so much about roofing, right? And so initially, that's what I thought I needed to be doing. And then once again, not to beat a dead horse, but going back to the no one cares about the roof, when I changed my mindset to let's take care of people, let's help people, let's have those conversations and just talk to them and see how I can help them. That's where the success started rolling in, really. Um, very quickly I was able to talk to these people and let them know that I was in a position with Curtis to address their needs, to be someone that is a voice that they could reach out to. I constantly say, if you have anything from a leak call to a re-roof, anything in between, you can call me and I can get it where it needs to go. So once again, not to beat a dead horse again, but just the trust, building that trust and really getting people to realize that I was there for their best interest. I told you earlier on at the beginning of this conversation, my title's technically sales rep. I kind of like business development. I don't use my title a lot. I'm somebody that's here to help. And that's the way I like to present it.
I love it. I love it. Whenever someone asks me what sales is, it's like it's just helping people,
It's
right?
just
That's all we're
helping
doing
people.
to get to a goal. I love that. So you're projected to do $500,000 in service sales within your first year with having no background inside roofing. How long did it take you to get on track or start projecting toward that 500,000?
I'd say probably within, let's say the first 3 months is really, I had some pretty instantaneous success. What I did find is that I was getting in my own way at the beginning more than anything, bogging myself down with trying to be all knowledgeable on the roof and trying to learn all this. And when I relinquished that feeling of having to become an expert in the field, so to speak. And I took on that mindset of nobody cares about the roof. That's when the results started to come in.
I love it. I love it. So why do you choose to still invest your time into service alignment and working with us?
Okay. Well, as I said, I'm a 20-year sales professional. And I think the most important thing I've realized is that you always are learning more. You always need something to keep you aligned. And it's in the title of service alignment. And I really feel like attending your classes whenever I can, having my one-on-ones with you or David, they really keep me in line. It's easy to think I got this now, I'm good. And I feel like that's a slippery slope. I feel like once you rely on yourself too much and you think that you got it figured out is when you're going to fall. So really, I rely on you guys as a way of keeping me aligned.
Love it. Love it. What were some of the biggest obstacles? I know you talked about a few of them, but some of the biggest obstacles within the first 7 months of getting to where you are or prior to working with us?
I know I said it, but getting out of the way of myself, being so concerned with knowing stuff, trusting the people behind me. So just like I'm building the trust of my customers and becoming their trusted advisors, I had to trust that these conversations I was having, these new relationships that I was building, that the people behind me were going to be able to fulfill the things I was saying that I was going to do. And so, guys, that, it wasn't just something that was taking up time in my week. It's something that I was obligated to do, but really becoming engaged, listening, getting into y'all's chat and during classes and asking questions. I really feel once I surrendered myself to it, that's when I started to flourish.
Love it. Love it. All right. So what's the biggest impact that you've had now that you're working with service alignment? What's the biggest impact that you recognize now?
Probably, once again, it's in the name, the alignment. Not feeling alone. Sales can be a lonely world. When you come to a private company like this and a family-owned business, and there's not a sales team in place, there's not a sales leader. That's my situation. That's what my situation was here. It can be a lonely world. And, you can be like, I'm this great salesperson. I've been doing sales for 20 years. I know what I need to know. And that's just not the mentality that I have. Being in a family, like a locally owned business as opposed to a major corporation, you guys have provided that alignment for me and that ear if I had a question, and a wealth of knowledge that you have been able to impart on me and not make me feel alone in a sometimes alone feeling profession.
Understood. Understood. So anybody who's on the fence of working with service alignment, what would you say from an account manager to an owner or account manager to a sales leader, if they should work with us, or just any input from your side?
Probably the biggest thing I would say is, are you good with where you're at? If you're fine with doing how things are and going with the status quo, then maybe it's not the right fit for you. But if you want to build upon something, if you want to grow and scale your business, this is the way to get it done. There's a playbook that's in place that service alignment provides that really gives you the tools that you need in your tool belt so that you can succeed.
I love it. I love it. So few things that I'll say that I feel has fed into your success. Number one, I love that you're a team player, right? That's a huge part. Like you said, it's not a solo game, right? I love that you're a team player. And the other part is that that the team that you have has the expertise that you don't. And I think a lot of times companies are looking for that unicorn, right? Someone who's got 30 years of roofing experience, they're awesome at sales, and maybe they can even produce the job, right? And that individual, I don't want to say is non-existent, right? But it's a unicorn to be able to find somebody that can meet goals and have all three of those skill sets, right? And is not running their own company or something to that extent. Knowing that you have a team behind you, knowing what your strengths are, and then I think you said it, right? Being humble enough to be able to learn. It's so fun to work with you, because when we look at the success that you've had and then where you're going, right? Creating those relationships, the grow versus scale, understanding that our customers, right? It's not a roof problem, right? It's a business problem that they have. You go in and you fix it, man. Truly appreciate you taking the time to jump on, kind of walk through some of this and share some of your success that you've had. Truly appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, man. I hope you have a great day, Chad.